Picture this. In the early hours of a cold morning in 1983, the most advanced military computer network on Earth suddenly goes dark. Screens flicker, connections fail, and a single error threatens to blind the United States' entire defense system. No one realizes it yet, but this collapse, this unexpected glitch, will lead to the creation of the modern internet. How could a failure reshape the world? Let's rewind. It's the late 1950s. The Cold War freezes global politics, and the United States fears a devastating Soviet strike. Within the newly formed ARPANET Advanced Research Projects Agency, a terrifying question emerges. How can the country communicate if its command centers are destroyed? Communication becomes a matter of national survival. ARPA's mission is to find an answer, to build a network that can withstand the unthinkable. They need a system without a single vulnerable heart. In the early 1960s, an engineer named Paul Barron proposes something completely unorthodox. A decentralized network, no central hub, no single point of failure. He envisions messages broken into small pieces, or packets, that travel through different routes and then reassemble at their destination. The concept is so unusual that many in the military and at AT&T dismiss it. It's too radical, too different from the centralized systems they know. But unknowingly, Barron has just planted the seed of a future nobody can yet imagine. His idea, though initially rejected, lingers in the minds of a few forward-thinking engineers. Fast forward to 1969, the seed has grown. For massive computers at universities in California and Utah are about to connect for the first time, forming the ARPANET. The engineers prepare to send a historic two-word message. Login. They type the L, it appears on the other end. They type the O, it appears, then they type the G, and the whole system crashes. The first message ever sent across the network is an incomplete one. A technical failure becomes the symbolic, almost poetic, birth of the internet. The digital age, it seems, began not with a bang, but with a glitch. Throughout the 1970s, the ARPANET expands rapidly. More and more universities, military labs, and research centers join the network. It's an exciting time, a digital frontier. But with this rapid growth comes chaos. Each group builds its own patches, its own protocols, and its own workarounds to connect their unique systems. The network functions, but just barely. Beneath the surface, instability is growing. It's a fragile, complex machine held together with digital tape and sheer willpower. A beautiful mess, but a mess nonetheless. The core of the problem is the system ARPANET relies on for communication, the Network Control Protocol, ORNCP. It was a pioneering piece of technology, but it was designed for a small, homogeneous network. As ARPANET grows bigger and more diverse, NCP starts to show its age. It begins to fail. Data packets are lost in transit. Communication routes collapse without warning. The very network designed to survive a nuclear strike is now struggling just to survive its own success. Something has to change, or the entire experiment is at risk. Back in 1973, two visionaries, Vint Cerf and Bob Kahn, had already seen this coming. They proposed a new, universal protocol called TCP/IP, which stands for Transmission Control Protocol, Internet Protocol. Its promise was revolutionary. With TCP/IP, any computer could communicate with any other, regardless of its hardware or the specific network it was on. It was clean, scalable, and future-proof. It was the elegant solution everyone needed. But there was one huge problem. Upgrading the entire live ARPANET seemed far too risky and expensive. It would be like changing the engine of a plane while it was in mid-flight. So the brilliant idea of TCP/IP sits on a shelf, waiting, until a crisis forces everyone's hand. And that crisis arrives in early 1983. The ARPANET, now a critical piece of US military infrastructure, enters a catastrophic loop of failures. Nodes crash repeatedly. Connections become wildly unstable. The time it takes for data to travel across the network, the latency, spikes to absurd, unusable levels. At first, the Pentagon fears the worst, a sophisticated cyber attack from an enemy. But after frantic investigation, they discover the terrifying truth. The network isn't being attacked from the outside, it's collapsing from within. Years of ad hoc patches, improvisations, and the strain on the old NCP protocol have finally caught up. The digital Tower of Babel is about to fall. Defense officials and top engineers gather behind closed doors for emergency meetings. The atmosphere is tense. The nation's most advanced communication network is on life support. They quickly realize there is only one real solution. No more patches. No more temporary fixes. It's time for radical surgery. The ARPANET must migrate entirely to the new, untested TCP/IP protocol. It's an all-or-nothing gamble. A single, unprecedented deadline is set, January 1st, 1983. This date will later become known as the official birthday of the Internet, but at the time it was just a desperate, high-stakes deadline. For weeks leading up to the new year, engineers across the country work without rest. It's a frantic, coordinated effort on a scale never seen before. Thousands of lines of code are rewritten. Entire networks are reconfigured. Universities and military bases receive strict, non-negotiable instructions. The migration must be absolute and simultaneous. One important system failing to make the switch could bring the entire operation down. It's an enormous technical challenge, but also a challenge of human coordination. Everyone has to flip the switch at the exact same time. New Year's Eve, 1982. In computer labs across the country, a quiet tension hangs in the air. Machines stand ready. Cables hum softly. Engineers stare at their screens, waiting for the final moment. As the clock strikes midnight, a command is sent. And across the entire ARPANET, every system shuts down simultaneously. The old NCP protocol, the heart of the network for over a decade, dies. For a few moments, there is complete digital silence. A new world waits to be born. Then, moments later, the network begins to awaken. Screen by screen, node by node, the systems come back online. This time they're all speaking the same language, TCP/IP. Data packets begin to flow smoothly. Communication routes stabilize. A harmony and efficiency never seen before spreads across the ARPANET. It works. The gamble paid off. With the dawn of a new year, a new digital universe has emerged. It's no longer just a fragile military experiment. It is the solid foundation of everything that is to come. Throughout the 1980s, the power of this new, unified standard becomes clear. More and more networks start adopting TCP/IP and connecting to what is now becoming a true internet, a network of networks. Universities worldwide join in. Private companies see the potential. Government agencies connect their systems. The network becomes truly international, crossing borders and oceans. Then, in 1989, a British scientist named Tim Berners-Lee, working at CERN, introduces something called the World Wide Web, a system for sharing information using this global network. And with that, the explosion of the digital era truly begins. Websites, emails, and eventually, social networks. Think about it. The internet wasn't born from a single stroke of genius. It wasn't meticulously planned or predicted in some corporate boardroom. It was the accidental child of a crisis, a desperate last-ditch attempt to fix a failing system, a monumental mistake, a system-wide collapse, forced a change that created a new world. The very network you're using to watch this video exists because of a failure. So every time you send a message, stream a video, or open a web page, remember its origin story. It all exists because of a catastrophic error back in 1983, an error that didn't break the world but remade it. And if this one mistake changed the course of humanity, just wait until you hear about the other incredible accidents that have shaped our history. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel, and let's continue the journey together.